Hello guys, so this is a patch rundown. I'm gonna try to keep it as fast as possible to not bore you guys. Also, I'm gonna point out which are the more valuable champions to play this patch. Belvat abilities rundown. It's part of the patch. It's part of the patch, so we're just gonna check it out, right? God damn. God damn. Maybe next time. It doesn't allow me to open it for some reason. Or? Oh, it does. It's fine. So does it show it by numbers as well, or only scalings, or what do we know? Scalings are not showed, huh? So how does this work? So you have a dash in any direction and you route it. Oh my fucking god. This is so blurry. Wait, I'm gonna open up the... Ah, you know what? Maybe at the end of the video I'm gonna give a shit to, to watch the abilities. Okay. So bonus attack speed is slightly higher, which makes last hitting a bit more smooth, right? That's definitely helps him a tiny bit. Just a bit of DPS early on, right? But later on it's gonna affect him more and more per attack speed, right? And later on you're gonna have like 9 more attack speed than before, and also you get a bit bonus lethality because of the durability changes. So early on you have like just a tiny bit more lethality, but then later on it's gonna be significantly higher by 5. It just kinda tries to push back the champion after the durability changes, so it has a bit more DPS, so it matches the patch. That's how I see it. Now Brand is getting nerfed because of the durability changes, HP stacking, right? Partially because so maximum health over 4 seconds. So it's 2.5 maximum health over 4 seconds. So it don't feel like old Brand before the durability changes, but the problem is, yes, I get it that champions have more HP, but at the same time they have more MR. Brand has been on fire since the durability update, given that everyone having more increased HP, yeah? So as the disclaimer says, right? And detonate more damage gonna be down from 10 to 9 to from 14 to 13. Uh, yeah, it just kinda like reverts it in a way, like it's connected with the durability patch, simply said, right? So you're gonna have more damage than he should, I assume. So that's the thought process behind it. But MR is higher as well at the same time. Okay. So Caitlyn is getting perma buffed. It doesn't matter which patch it is. Like if this champion is unviable, goddamn. But because, like for example, if Maokai is useless through 3-4 years, that doesn't matter, right? Okay. So physical damage, it's just the same per every level, right? But the scaling gonna be higher on AD. Uh-huh. So early on it's gonna be a tiny bit weaker, but later on both of the abilities gonna scale better, and as a scaling champion as Caitlyn it's really valuable. But at the same time we like to bully a lot with Caitlyn early on, so a tiny bit your early game gonna be worse, but eventually your late game gonna be better. That's good. So magic damage gonna be slightly less early on, and later on it's gonna be higher. That 10 AP damage is not a big deal, because the cooldown will significantly decrease as well, and the damage will be higher, so it will be a bit more scaling oriented. So your bullying is a bit weaker early on, just a bit, then her scaling is better, that's how it goes, right? It's just simple. So he has less HP because of the durability changes, later on he has 100 less HP. Then the mana growth is higher, it's kinda important for Feast to have more mana. Um, I guess they did it because of the durability changes, since you could get so many more rotations of ease off in the durability patch than before, which means that it's easier to escape for you. So they turned down a little bit his HP. Then again his mana is higher, so maybe there is a world where you don't take Leandry or Ludens and you go for Protobelt. Maybe it's worth a try. Alright. Just as a test, you could just try out Protobelt with tier or without tier, because maybe the mana changes justifies it not going Ludens or Leandry. Okay, so Gragas is getting a tiny bit buffed because of the durability changes, Like Gragas didn't really seem to be around for a long time, but now both of his abilities come up faster. His Q with 1 second, also he got like 10% damage on it. So if you have like 100 AP or so, I guess it's just a tiny bit for more DPS, right? Then again, I think it's connected with the durability changes, as I said before. Then his E becomes a bit more spammy, but just early on. Later on, he's gonna be in the same cooldown. Gwen is finally getting nerfed. Like that W, I was always thinking my whole life that W shouldn't give that much armor early on, because it's she already has high base stats, base armor, base magic resist HP, and that giving 20 armor, 20 HP is kinda illegal, which also scales with AP. Then again, the cooldown was 22. Now the cooldown is still 22, but it doesn't decrease it to 14, because this ability is really strong as a base ability overall. That's my opinion. And it giving 20 armor and 20 magic resist early on makes her really stat checky. Then again, skipping slash cooldown refunded on first attack from 60 to 50 back, which means just a tiny bit. You gotta wait more before you use it, so it means you have a bit less DPS and less mobility because it comes off slower on rotation. I guess in some matchups this will actually matter, cause then you need to back off for a tiny bit more until it completely resets. Okay. So Irelia is getting buffed because, well, all of the healing items got nerfed, she got nerfed as well, and it's just to kinda like make her a bit better, right? Then again, her E gets buffed as well by a tiny bit of cooldown early on. Later on it's gonna be the same thing. So she's a bit more abusive early on, and she has a bit more healing. Also Blade of the Ruined King got nerfed, which gives 1 more percentage healing. Let's see. So Kayn is getting nerfed or buffed. Q damage decreased in... Yeah, this is what I was thinking of. The Q damage will deal a lot of damage in Darkin form. So damage 65 AD plus 5 percentage plus 5.5 per 100 bonus AD of the target's maximum HP. So if people build like Moraman on Kayn or Sherilda's Grudge on Red Kayn, then he gonna deal lots of damage, HP based damage. So they're kinda trying to tone it a tiny bit down. I think it's just 0.5, it's not the end of the world, I assume. Alright. The Kog'Maw is getting a more drastic change already. So he gets like a little bit less armor shred by 2%. Passive bonus attack speed gonna be lower by 5 per every level. And yeah, by 1%. I was exactly thinking of his W gonna get nerfed by 1%. And that 1% actually matters a lot, same as the 2% minus armor shred and less attack speed. It generally means you have less DPS because of the Guinsoo's Rage Blade. You get so many like W procs that like in a fight you get more than, I don't know, lots of procs. Like you get so many auto attacks off in a full fight, in a team fight, that this can actually affect his DPS by a significant amount, by like maybe 10%, in between 10 and 5%, I would say. I mean in long-term fights, of course, right? So Ellison is getting a tiny bit buffed because of the durability changes, or because like so his Q now deals a tiny bit more damage, and he has a tiny bit more AD. Resonating strike minimum damage gonna be a bit higher by 5 AD. Resonating strike maximum damage will be up with 10, so he gets like 5 plus 10, like 15, and 2 AD. It says Lee Sin has been struggling to consistency in Snowball. I guess it means that he's a tiny bit stronger, but I already see YouTubers posting thumbnails, Lee Sin broken this patch. It's not gonna be broken, but he's gonna be a bit stronger. His clear gonna be a bit faster, if it does even matter, I'm not sure. So Lilia is finally getting nerfed on top lane. I guess every top laner hates her already. So she has a bit less HP by 25, and also 6% 1 dot per one, and he gets 1.5 per 100 AP. Now she gets less. She gets 1.2 per 100 HP of the maximum. I mean, I don't think so. This will actually ruin Lilia. I mean, her damage gonna be a bit lower, her HP gonna be a bit lower, but I think she still has validity on top lane. It's just she gonna be a bit weaker, but I think it's still something worth to play. Then again, test it out for yourself and see how it goes, see if it's still worth. But I think it's not gonna kill the champion, honestly. It's just not something gonna kill the champion. Health growth. 106 to 100 health at level. He has generally less HP. Bonus through damage on hit, so it kinda like tags these Guinso builds, right, where he gets multiple procs of E, not the one-shot builds. For example, if you go for the lethality one-shot build, which is kinda bad right now, then it doesn't affect it as much. Now, these changes are kinda weird because Mastery seems to be kinda shit for me, but I think this is a low nerf, I'm not sure. So he gets to be more durable with true damage, which means that he can get so much more like E-procs off and resets more easily for his ultimate, I assume, and his E, so I guess that matters. But I feel like it's just a lower rank nerf, then Nunu's Q is getting reverted. His Q gonna have 90% more healing and 10% bonus HP. I think that for the same reason Nunu got nerfed actually, but they buffed him back. Healing against champions is gonna be a bit higher. Yeah. Then his E is getting buffed a tiny bit. Then he has it up way faster on rotation by 4 seconds. Which means if you have Frostfire Gauntlet, you can perma-chase people, I assume, right? I think this is actually gonna help a lot the champion to have a better sustain in general. It's gonna help him against bigger objectives such as Herald, Baron, Drake mostly. Then again, he's gonna be a bit more healthy in general. Now Olaf gets a bit nerfed for obvious reasons, right? So from 10 to 8 percentage to at max at 25 life steal, right? His Q 10 per level, right? He has 10 less early on, or 10 more. Oh, 10 more. I didn't see it correctly. It's a 60, not an 80. He gets like 10 more damage, and minimum time between casts it's 2.5. So the cast gets a bit lower. His W gets a bit less, more cooldown actually, right? More cooldown means less DPS. His Q passive heals a tiny bit less. His ult gives him less armor. So the stats in general are lower. That's how I see it. And his Q gets a tiny bit more damage, which I guess helps a bit, right? Yeah, it's just general DPS, right? Changes. Or tankiness, I would say. It's actually more about surviving, because his damage gets buffed a tiny bit. But his tankiness, like W cooldown more, less armor, then again, passive feels less, so he'll be a bit less durable. That's the idea behind it. Now Rakan is getting a buff because not many Rakans are. Rakan was hit pretty hard by the durability update, given his heavy use of shields and reliance on getting takedown with his CC. Sometimes much harder with more durable champs. We are giving him back what he lost, plus a little more in hopes he can make grand entrance back onto the rift. His healing gonna be higher, which actually gonna help a lot against lane bullies, right? I think, yeah, this Rakan change is actually really good. This is gonna help a lot against lane bullies, short traders, right? Because of your Q healing gonna be significantly higher. Your W is way faster up on rotation. Lane bullies usually are squishies and vulnerable to your W, so that helps as well. Mana costs is lower, which again helps against lane bullies. I mean, it generally helps, but it's good against lane bullies to protect your AD carry. Shield strength. Okay, this is actually quite pog. Okay, it's actually quite good, especially like Revitalize on Rakan would make more sense right now. So I would say Rakan is actually decent right now. It's worth the play. Base health, it's gonna be a tiny bit lower. Then again, his ult comes up slower on rotation after level 11. Because he's a bit too strong, I assume, right? Now Rise. Does this justify playing Rise? I mean, he's gonna get a tiny bit more damage on his E by 5%, and the general numbers are the same, the flat damage, then again the mana cost is a bit lower, then later on is significantly lower. Um, I don't know honestly. I don't know if this justifies, like, you have 5% more damage and less mana cost later on, which will help him later on. Early on it's almost the same, but I guess that 5 helps a bit, right? Then the more points you have in it, the more it gets reduced, the mana cost. So there is something into it. Samira is getting buffed. She gets 3.3 AD, which means that at max level she gets 5.1 more AD. She's gonna have a tiny bit more damage, right? So at, like, yeah, she's gonna have a tiny bit more damage in early on. Then what's gonna happen? Her passive gets also buffed, which is connected with the base AD, right? So it means she's gonna have a tiny bit more damage on her Q and on her auto attacks. Well, in general, right, she's gonna have a bit more damage and a bit more Q damage. I don't think so this will make her viable or that strong or broken or anything. This is just a tiny bit of a buff from my opinion. Now this is actually a more important one. This will have both support Senna, fasting Senna, AD carry Senna. Miss rates drop rate from minions. Senna kills gonna go up from 2.166 to 8.3333. This is actually gonna help a lot. I don't care what kind of Senna do you play. This is gonna help any type of Senna. Slow from 20% goes down to 50% plus 10%. So this is gonna his early game slow gonna be a bit weaker and the duration gonna be lower, but eventually it's gonna scale back up the slow to 2. Because she bullies a lot in general early on, but her scaling gonna be a bit better. I mean, I don't think so it's the end of the world, honestly. I think the champion will be still highly viable. In fact, I see her being used more so for fasting strats right now. So Swain's ceiling gonna be a bit less. W damage gonna be a bit less. I mean, these are just kinda random changes, cause I can't say like his W almost never connects. Then his ceiling gonna be a tiny bit less. I don't know, like, yes, he's too durable. I guess this kinda cuts some of his healing and damage because of the durability changes make him really strong. He's too tanky, right? But at the same time, I'm hoping he won't be useless or something. Because these nerf kinda hit his healing in general. But I guess anti-heal got nerfed as well, so just because the champion's healing gets nerfed, anti-heal gets nerfed as well, like executioner and altos by a bit, so if that helps, right? Kingslayer. It's gonna have less mana cost, so it becomes somewhat spammy, and it's gonna heal a tiny bit more by 5%. You have it up with 1 second up, or with 1 second you're gonna have it early on, then your E has always 1 second less. It's gonna make your abilities a bit more spammy on Silas. Time can changes, this might gonna make him unclocked, unloaded, unbenched. The durability update wasn't particularly nice to them in any of his roles, so we're getting fish wishes by giving him some compensatory buffs to his heals and shields, which should help him to stick around longer in extended fights. So looks like Time Can Stop is kinda back actually, because of the passive buffs. Also his Q healing gets buffed in general. Does it get buffed, or did I see it correctly? Yeah, it gets buffed the healing, which you're gonna spam quite often. I think Time Can Stop is back, and Time Can Support gonna be quite strong as well. He gets 150 more shield on first point, second point you get 100. Then the last point you get like 50 more shield, which gonna help him a lot. Both support and top lane role. Now I feel like Time Can is more worth to play on top lane. And on support, of course. Now Talia's HP is getting a bit nerfed by 20, who cares? She's gonna be a bit stronger in the jungle because of the E buffs. Cooldown gonna be a bit tiny bit higher. Same as the damage gonna be a bit tiny bit less, but it's fine because she has already a lot of damage. Fifth rock will deal a bit less damage. The boulder, let's see the boulder. So the boulder gonna deal a bit less damage as well, huh? But it's not a problem actually, it's not a big deal. So her E will generally deal more damage, which means she might have a really fast jungle clear. So Downrock Italia can no longer cast R-Weaver's Wall within 3 seconds of dealing non-proc damage. I mean you can't anymore like EQW and ult away. Or Everfrost and ult away, right? I assume this is actually an issue when it comes to escaping, because if you wanna escape you gotta ult away, you can't anymore Everfrost. I guess you can Everfrost and try to walk away, but Everfrost gets nerfed as well. So her escapes are a bit worse, but they are kinda pushing her towards the jungler role. Taric, really good buffs. In general his mana costs are way less later on. Then again the HP, oh my god, yes, it's gonna make the champion really strong in general, from my opinion. He's gonna make really strong the champion. Then his E cooldown, oh, his E cooldown gonna be less than the stun. Yes, this is gonna make really strong Taric with champions like Lee Sin, Jackson, botlane, Samira, Tristana, Ezreal maybe. These changes do help him a lot actually. I feel like he's gonna be reverted, like this should be abused before it gets nerfed. Trinamir is Q gonna heal as it healed before. He's getting buffed back. So he gets 30 more, so the base heal is higher. Also base heal per Fury stack gonna be way higher. I'm not sure how much is that exactly, but I think it's gonna be the same as was before. I don't think so Trinidad was weak before these changes, but now his sustain is way better and his cooldown is lower, so this is gonna make him a bit more potent. Veigar's armor gets a tiny bit nerfed and the armor growth gonna be a bit higher. His E gonna have a bit more cooldown. So this gonna 20 more, so it means you're gonna wait like 2 more seconds early on before you have your E up. I don't think so Veigar really minds these nerfs. I think this is more so like a bot lane nerf maybe. Or against like AD mid matchups, you're gonna be a bit more squishy. But eventually, I think you're gonna scale back with the armor growth, so eventually you're gonna have the same amount of armor at some point. Sure, I mean, it's gonna make his early game a tiny bit weaker, his wall comes off less so often early on, which allows champions that have dashes to dash on him like 1 or 2 times before his E comes off rotation. So now you gotta be more careful how you use your E. Because if you don't have your E up against Yasuo in time, then he can just all in you, so this helps a lot Yasuo players. So you gotta be a bit more careful when you use your abilities, but later on you're gonna have the same cooldown and you're gonna scale back in the same way. So the scaling champion, Veigar doesn't mind it that much, but his early game gonna be a bit weaker. Wukong finally nerfed. His W has more cooldown, his E has less damage towards monsters, which can kinda ruin his early game clear by a bit. It may be gonna ruin it, I'm not sure. But in general, in combat, it doesn't really matter. It's just about his jungler clear, that's all. Passive determination from 6 to 74. It's gonna scale with 3 more percentage AD and with 55 to 70. Oh no, it doesn't. So it's gonna kill a tiny bit more. And the thirst damage gonna be a bit higher by 10 percentage and 15 percentage AP. Also, it's gonna by 10 it's gonna be up per level, and the mana cost gonna be lower, so it becomes more spammy. More damage a bit on W, more healing on the passive by a tiny bit. But it'll help him definitely. The Zeri changes are actually kinda big in here. Oh. So let's look at this. Active burst damage gonna be a bit higher by 1 per level, then later on by 5. The scaling will be better, so there will be a bit more scaling oriented. Okay. Passive charge damage gonna go up from 90-20 to... So the AP scaling gonna be higher by 10, 3.15 of the target's maximum HP from 1.13, which means early on it has more damage, but the slow is removed completely. I guess it matters in matchups where the slow doesn't really matter to stick to people or disengage because you're just short fading. Not having the slow is kind of a problem later on, but I guess it's not a big deal because the AP scaling and the damage gonna be a tiny bit higher. But then again, I think it's just particularly made this way so she won't be too strong on top lane. Ultra shock laser damage 10, you get like 10, 45. So the scaling gonna be a bit higher by 10%. I feel like AP Zeri is really good. It's just people never play it, but I think it's kind of OP. The slow gonna be a bit higher by 5% and later on by more. Eventually it goes up to like from 50 to 70. It's actually gonna slow a lot. Cooldown from 30 to 12 to 12, 11, 9. The cooldown gonna be a bit lower, and now it can crit. Ultra shock laser hits a wall. It will now critically strike champions and monsters, and I think this will scale with Infinity Edge, the damage from it, but I'm not 100% sure. This will also help to clear monsters out more quickly. Her in general will be lower the cooldown. That will help her in general. The cooldown reduction per attack. Cooldown reduction per attack gonna be lower as well. Cooldown reduction per critical strike gonna be lower from 3.5 to 15. I mean, once they want Zeri to be a crit champ, then they do this. It means that she has less ease up on rotation, but the cooldown is generally less, so it won't be so spammy. The cooldown is less, but the reset is a bit slower, so it stays on up and down. Oh, this actually does matter a lot. So by 20, 10 by 10, 10 by nothing. So early on she has more less cooldown on her ult. It becomes a bit more spammy. And then the movement speed gonna be less. Stacks per champion hit by lightning crash gonna go up from 4 to 8 stacks per champion hit by lightning crash. So you're gonna get 8 stacks per champion hit. I guess that helps. So healing gonna be generally less in here. It is gonna help a lot Aatrox players, whatever, like this is an indirect Aatrox, Warwick, any type of champions with generally lots of healing, of course. Then again, Everfrost is getting nerfed, I'm not sure why, but I think this is gonna make the item useless actually. Because if people have tenacity, 1% root is nothing. And I think she's gonna make the item low-key useless. Torment, burn damage gonna be a bit less, but I think the item will be still definitely viable overall from my opinion. It's just 10 per tick, it's not a big deal. Ability is gonna be higher because this item been useless for a long time. Then cooldown per champion is gonna go down from 40 to 30. You get 10 more cooldown and then you get like 10 less cooldown per champ. How this is gonna, like, you have it every 30 seconds, like electrocute or something. You get more cooldown. I mean, I only could see this working on non-mana champions. Like, it leaves 25 cooldown, more than before. Also, you have the proc up faster on rotation, but like, I feel like this is not gonna be really a big deal, honestly. It just doesn't. And Wisemaker is getting nerfed, but this item is pure shit. So, by 10 AP, tanks gonna have a bit cheaper items. Also, they're gonna provide 100 more HP each of them. Yep, tanks gonna be generally stronger, and ironically enough, many. So that dance is getting nerfed. Maw is getting nerfed. Sterax is getting buffed. recently arrived. I just wanted to say my own opinion about it. Here's the thing. I made a little video about it. If you wanna watch the full version, I can very curious with that. In short, David is quite strong right now. Rakan is way stronger, especially against bullying matches. The champion is generally more overpowered right now. Really worth to play. Same as David. Now what else? Lenny, they are pushing very more towards the critical strike build. I think she's definitely worth to play again with the quick build. Now what else? In general, Executioner got nerfed and Coordinator got buffed, which means champions like Aatrox, champions in general like to abuse the healing from it, and it gives more cooldown. Of course, the Coordinator right now per mythic item by 2, leads to more cooldown. Also, Olaf got a bit nerfed, but I think the champion is still viable. It's just his stats are generally lower, his defensive stats. Then again, here is this Lilian nerf, but the champion will be still viable. Like, they took 25 HP from her and a bit of passive damage, but this still will make her an annoying top laner in general, so it's still worth to play. Then again, Kog'Maw got a bit nerfed. His DPS gonna be lower by 5-10% in a full fight, I would say. Around that area, I can judge it. Which means that you're gonna have a bit less DPS, but the champion is still definitely worth to play. Also, really important thing, Senna and Pumpkin, right? They're gonna be significantly stronger. Senna, doesn't matter what strat they use, you fast, you play him as a support, you play her, as a AD carry, doesn't matter, it's still gonna be significantly stronger. It's just her slow gonna be a bit tiny bit less early on by 5%, also it's gonna last less with 1 second, but she's still gonna be a fine support. Or rather a fasting AD carry, it's gonna be better if you do the fasting strat. Pumpkin just got buffs with the healing, with the damage, with the shielding. This will generally help in top lane, bot lane, so I think these are decent fasting. Like, this is a fasting buff for Senna Pumpkin bot, right? Talia's damage got a tiny bit nerfed, but it doesn't matter all that much. She's still really abusable because her damage got a bit nerfed, but she's still viable. Also, her jungle clear got buffed. Her E damage deals 50% more damage, which means that your clear gonna be generally faster. There's another thing. Her ultimate cannot be cast if you deal damage within 3 seconds. It doesn't affect proc damage, so if you have the under, it won't like cancel your ultimate, you know. But here's the thing, your escapes will be worse because you can't like WEQ anymore and just ult out like that, so that will cut off a little bit her escapes. Tank items got a bit buff, so tanks are a bit stronger. Also AP items got nerfed, most of them, which is kinda no reason from my opinion. Then again, Dead Dance and Maw got nerfed a bit. They are still abusable though. And also Kraken got nerfed, which is good for bruisers things.